Well, welcome to the Solutions Catalyst segment. I'm going to jump right in. I want to speak with you about how economic famines are really a setup to shift you into new levels of fortune so that you can ultimately create your own economy and be a participant in this next level of shifting and shaping of an economics landscape. A lot of times what happens is when we hear about the economy is collapsing and things are declining in a certain type of manner, we fail to realize that each new era of economics goes through its own unique metamorphosis. And sometimes we have to allow what currently exists to decompose, to go through its own unique metamorphosis. And what has been happening over the years is that when new innovations come forth and different levels of awareness around certain ideas for improvement of how we build a new economy, what's happening is that we're building new and improved instead of allowing a new creation to come forth. And this is where the metamorphosis takes place. Economic crisis and famines that seem to come are really designed to catapult us into a new awareness around finances and economy. So whether we see the decline in businesses, marketplace seems to be misaligned, all of this is part of the decomposing so that a metamorphosis can take place. So let me expound upon this a little bit in terms of metaphorically. When we think about how, or understand, I should say, how a caterpillar comes into a new format of becoming a butterfly, it breaks down and it decomposes and it loses what it once was so that a newer format can emerge. And what happens is in our economy, because people want certainty a certain way and they long for familiarity, but still in a way that just seems newer. Again, that's new and improved. That's not allowing something to take on a different form in a different shape that's going to ultimately be better. Sometimes people fear change because they think that the new way may actually not be the best way. But the thing about it is that in things becoming a new creation, you have to look at the evolution to know what is actually going to ultimately be best. Because no, I will admit, every new way is not the most effective or efficient way. But when something becomes a new creation, it actually takes on a very different essence and expression. So again, it's not even just a newer way of doing something that was from an older way or new improved version of it. No, that doesn't cut it. It doesn't cut it. Because as much as we want to improve the economy and jobs and different things, but because everything's still in kind of the same format and framework, again, it's trying to evolve something that needs to decompose and needs to have refinement. And so when we're in times of these, what seem to be famines and just a complete disconnect from what most are comfortable with, it's a time for individuals or their companies, businesses, or just on a personal level, personal professional level, to understand that there's something more that needs to come forth, but it has to evolve and not just transform. So going back again to metaphorically, when a caterpillar breaks down, it is losing an old identity because a newer formation is coming forth. And when you think about a caterpillar format, how a caterpillar lives its life, even its best version of itself, it's still an earthbound creature inching along. And even if it was to go to a more elevated place, look at the struggle that it had to take, the length of time to get there from inching along. And that's what happens when we consistently play in these realms, if you will, of trying to improve the economy instead of allowing the economy, yes, to collapse in a certain way so that something new can emerge. There's always a seed, a solution seed, an encoding within every, if you want to say, calamity or every situation. Just like every caterpillar, it has the encoding to become a butterfly, but every caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly, and for various reasons. The caterpillar either expires in its caterpillar life, or it enters into the chrysalis, the cocoon experience, and it actually doesn't survive it. It doesn't survive it to become something new, which means in that middle process, as it was shedding away the old, it wasn't syncing up or coding up with the new encoding of here's the new data as it relates to what your new functionality and format is going to be. So in the world of finances and economics and business, that's what's been happening for so long. That's why the improvements that we long to see aren't taking place. And then again, even when it seems like things are progressing, that's just an era of an illumination, or I should say, not an illumination. It's designed to illuminate, but it is an illusion in the sense of here's long-standing progression. It's like, no, that's going to break down. It's going to decompose, and it needs to. But we have to understand it in this context in order to make sense of it, so that you're not trying to hold on to something that no longer needs to exist in that format, right? And again, going back to, in terms of a butterfly, or excuse me, a caterpillar inching along and living its caterpillar life, even at its best version, that is still something that has a seed of potential, a code of potential in it, that it's not reaching that full potential. Because trust me, a butterfly experience is much better than a caterpillar experience, all right? So once we go through what seems to be an economic famine, in a sense, we will discover the new fortunes. And it's an easier way to reach your greater financial potential and economics potential, because it's not with all the left brain struggle and all the different things of the hustle and grind and business models and financial models, profits models that are a certain way that actually take you more away from maximizing the fuller potential of why you're here. So as long as there's this fear base and there's something wrong around the economy sort of collapsing in a certain way, there's not the expanded awareness to understand again why it's happening, how we need to reframe how we view things, and understand this actually needs to be taking place. Whatever is taking place in the economy, it's designed at this stage for an era to collapse so that a new era can come in, but from an evolutionary standpoint, meaning the evolution is this has become something different, but the something different is for the betterment. And so what you're going to see in a lot of what has been progressing, that has been improvements, even in digital media, in technology, different things, you're going to see another decomposing, because it's designed to come into that format for a season, so that new levels of what wants to be or needs to be extracted from that can come forth, and then you can have something more complete and cohesive. But what happens is that even in these shifting times, people are looking for hard structures, and I need my finances to be a certain way. I need to do it this way. And the economy is collapsing and different things. And you don't discover what is the seed of fortune. Some individuals who are working a 9 to 5, and then they are upset when their world collapse and maybe they lose their job or that job phases out. Not understanding, but that's the opportunity to discover what your next level of fortunes could be, and that may be in entrepreneurship. It may not be in the matrix job or, most are modern day slave plantations, not all, but it's time to look to doing something different. And then even those who are in the digital space that maybe they've been running their businesses a certain way and they've had some success, but then they're struggling to make ends meet around that. That means that what form you were in at one point, you need to allow that to decompose, because there's a fortune code that wants to reveal itself for something new to emerge. A lot of what we go through are stepping stones to something greater. And when we can leverage a stepping stone as a launching pad, it can catapult us into a new, stratosphere of opportunities. But if we're not willing to look at that, willing to address that, then we'll continuously go around these same cycles, not understanding that the breakdown is really designed for a breakthrough with bamboo success. If you know anything about how Chinese bamboo grows, it grows underground, developing a deep root system for about 4 years, and you see nothing on the surface. In the 5th year, it springs up 80 to 96 feet, like overnight. And a lot of times when there's challenges within the economy, there's something deeper that has actually been being cultivated under the surface. But we rarely look to what's under the surface because we're too busy looking at what's on surface. And then sometimes that nothingness is what can actually lead you to more expansion. Or what's breaking down, what's going away is only shedding away because there's something newer trying to give way. And once you kind of surrender to that, from an evolutionary standpoint, you can allow the deep root system that you have built over time in multiple areas to come and shoot up. Now, some of you know, maybe some of you don't, in terms of my majesty almightiness, is that I leverage my life as an economy. My entire life experience is an economy, because I leverage my life as a niche. And I teach how you can tap into your own encoding of economics in some of my works. I got several as it relates to this particular focus, but one that's coming to mind is, economic salvation evolution, and understanding that there's something within your experience that wants to bring forth a new economy, and you creating your own landscape in a sense that is going to contribute, yes, to the collective economy in a sense, but it's got to start with you. No one's coming to save you. You're going to have to save yourself. And even from a religious standpoint, or I won't say a religious standpoint, even from a spiritual context and a biblical context, is that even we look at Christ as being the Savior, the deliverer, but that's an inward experience as well, is that you have to have that on the inside of you in a belief factor in order to be delivered. So your own economics encoding is the only thing that can crack open to reveal to you what it is that you need to be doing, how you need to create your own economy, tap into your own economics experience, and find out what are the fortune codes that are contained within who you are, and also the external reality. What are the seeds of solutions within these experiences? So a famine that comes to any economics type of, experience within a region or globally can be a good thing. So we think about the story of Joseph, and Joseph was the economic savior of that time when he was strategically placed in Egypt and went through hardship far beyond what you can wrap your imagination around, being a slave, being sold by his brothers, and then becoming a slave, and then being thrown into prison. So he had a unique gift to be able to, yes, interpret dreams, but also to give divine wisdom and instruction. And he was given the signet ring by the Pharaoh of that day because he interpreted his dream and then knew what the divine solution was going to be to save individuals, to save Egypt and surrounding areas from a famine that was going to be upon that land for 7 years. And they had 7 years to prepare for it, right? And you can look at that as like the bamboo experience in a sense. When that time came, because they put the right things in place, they created a whole new revenue system, a whole new economy system that they didn't have before, because they had to sell grain. So they were, during the time of famine, because they put back to save the grain, so that in the time of when they had plenty, they put back so that in the time of famine, they would be able to sustain, but not only sustain, now create a whole new economic system for people to come in and buy the grain. So they had storehouses built. They had a whole new system that developed a whole new economy that they could continue to leverage even long after the famine was over, because it birthed something new that wasn't there before. And so in this new economy that is trying to emerge, sometimes there is what seems to be a deficit or a famine that's trying to lead to new levels of fortunes, new levels of doing things, new creations of what we call jobs in a sense, new opportunities for economic advancement. And that's how we really need to put it in that framework. Not giving people jobs or creating more jobs, no, creating more opportunities for economic advancement. So when we start to reposition how we view things, that is when change starts to take place. But as long as people are trying to hold on to a hard structure and let's improve it this way, let's create more jobs in a sense by doing this. Or in the online space, we need more entrepreneurs doing X, Y, and Z. Or maybe we don't need more entrepreneurs doing the same thing that's being done. All these cookie cutter frameworks and different things. Maybe we need individuals tapping into their own true economy, learning how to be resourceful in oncoming ways and reposition their profitability and use different areas of their experiences to bring forth fortunes from the fortunes of life and create their own economy, their own economic system. Yes, still they'll have to be under certain frameworks, obviously, that everyone sort of has to play by those rules. But each individual, when they allow their economic famine to actually be a transitionary experience of a death to rebirth into new fortunes, that's going to be a better, more lucrative, higher, lighter way of experiencing how you show up to share your passions or your purpose or so, your work, so to speak. We have to look at things differently. There's always, again, that seed of solution, that encoding that is there. So you can check within the description. There's going to be resources on how you can start to create your own economy and let any famine, appearance of a famine, in a sense, you can get out ahead of different things, just like Joseph allowed his giftings through God to be used to help a nation get out ahead of a famine so that they didn't have to go down. That's why you have to be in fear about economic crisis and different things. Let it collapse. Let it go through its metamorphosis so it can become something new. And if you do it for your own experience or your business now, or whatever you have developing, take it through this metamorphosis, then you will be one who's on the thriving side of the economic emergence. And you want to be on the economic emergence versus the declining aspect, but you can allow, again, what has been built up to this point, what you've been doing, you can allow that to decompose, let that decline, disintegrate, so to speak, and let the newer context emerge. So again, you can check the description. And if you are a business owner or entrepreneur, you have an organization, and you are looking for that signet ring advisory experience, I provide that, where you want to know what it is that you need to do to not just get out ahead, but actually to now start setting up your frameworks accurately in terms of what's going to be for your highest evolution of carving out your own economics system, your own economics landscape, right? You building your own new economy, and then you don't have to worry about what's going to go on in the economy because you would have already been beyond the decomposing and the metamorphosis that's taking place. You would have been beyond that experience. So I hope that this has provided you with some higher level awareness of looking at how famine leads you to fortunes, to start really carving out your new economics landscape and becoming the economy of you. So I look forward to being back with you soon. Again, check the description, and I'm wishing you the absolute best. Take care and stay blessed.